Welcome to the AI Podcast, episode 2 for the week of June 17, 24. Okay, let's unpack this. For this deep dive, we're stepping into the vibrant, sometimes chaotic digital arena of a busy gaming content creator. We'll be dissecting a week that was just packed, really, full of triumphs, some frustrating tribulations, and some truly passionate debates that cut right to the core of modern gaming. We sifted through their daily wrap-ups, their podcasts, to give you, the ultimate recap of what happened last week in their streaming world.
Yeah, that's right. And our mission today is really to pull out the most important nuggets, the insights from all that material. Think of it as your express lane, maybe, to getting informed about the highs, the lows, the unexpected turns in what is, let's face it, a really demanding week for a creator. We'll help you understand not just what happened, but maybe why it mattered, from a content creation perspective. And what it might mean for his schedule, his strategy in the week ahead. It's always a fascinating look at the sheer pace of online content.
Okay, let's kick things off with the overall vibe then. From his own words, this was, and I quote, a heck of a week. A significant bounce back from previous struggles, apparently marked by amazing support. It really does sound like a turnaround.
Oh, absolutely. It really was. The support, it was phenomenal, consistently phenomenal. Goals were getting hit on almost every single stream. And this surge, this engagement, it allowed for some really impressive progress in his ongoing games and, the successful launch of new stuff too. A major highlight was definitely the Lies of P Overture DLC. He plunged right into what he called grueling combat and these epic boss fights. Showed some real adaptability too, strategically respecting his character, went for a motivity build, focusing on raw damage, stunning enemies.
Heavy-hitting build.
Exactly. And it wasn't just about beating the bosses. It was kind of a masterclass in on-the-fly strategy. Gave viewers some real insights into adapting your playstyle. He made significant progress too. Got through a shipwreck area, a nautical town, this Rose Estate, which apparently had some big lore dumps.
Ah, the story deep dives. People love those.
Yeah, they really immerse you. And, the speed he went through, it suggests, a strong synergy between the challenge and his engagement. He's expecting to wrap it up in just one more stream.
Wow. That sounds like a really intense journey through Lies of P, really pushing his limits there. What else sort of fed into this week's positive momentum? Any other games give that same sense of triumph?
Yeah, definitely. That positive energy kind of spilled over. Onimusha 2 Remastered, that throwback classic, saw really smooth, consistent progress. It's heading toward his end game pretty quickly. And then you have the Mario Kart World Knockout Tour. He described that with a mix of, hilarity and pure rage-filled moments.
Sounds like classic Mario Kart.
Totally. Those streams were a huge hit. High attendance exceeded 2 community goals, even with all the usual frustrations. The baloney like blue shells hitting him constantly. It's a perfect example, really, of how that competitive chaos can actually be a massive draw for the audience.
Yeah, it sounds like the kind of stream where the chat is just feeding off his reactions, right? That whole emotional roller coaster. What about the more chill stuff?
Right. Gotta have balance. American Truck Simulator continued to be that favorite chill stream. It's a crucial counterpoint, really, to the high-intensity games. Provides that relaxed space for just chatting with the community. And there's some exciting plans for that one, too. He is planning to grab some new DLCs during the Steam Summer Sale.
Oh, nice. What's he looking at?
Mentioned a Southwestern U.S. pack, I think, and various truck customizations, just to inject some new life into those streams. It shows a good understanding, of keeping a long-running series fresh. And finally, a brand new game, Taxi Life Simulator, had a really successful premiere. Hit its goals, and he described it as surprisingly tense and attention-grabbing.
Okay, so strong momentum for ongoing stuff, successful new launches. But, even when things are going well, the life of a content creator is never completely smooth. There are always bumps, familiar frustrations, unexpected tech glitches. What were some of those hurdles this past week?
Yeah, despite that overall positive vibe, there were definitely specific things causing headaches, visible ones. For instance, he voiced some real frustration about the declining support for Minecraft, noted it wasn't hitting the goals he expected, even hinted pretty strongly at rotating it out of the schedule if support didn't pick up. Mentioned some sections didn't even hit, like $100.
Wow, that's tough. It's not just about one game then, is it? It really highlights that constant pressure streamers feel, adapting to audience shifts,
Yeah,
monetization.
exactly. It's a stark reminder. Even huge popular games like Minecraft aren't immune to viewer fatigue or changing tastes.
And didn't something specific happen during a Minecraft stream related to, well, us,
Yeah,
podcast?
that was memorable.
Yeah.
During one Minecraft session, he got a gifted sub from an account named AiPodcast, and he had a pretty sharp reaction, voiced some, let's say, long-standing frustrations about alleged payment methods linked to that account name in the past. Called it baloney, I believe. It really underscored that unfiltered nature of live streams, and his willingness to just say what's on his mind, even about past grievances, right when support is coming in from that very source. It's a vivid example of that dynamic, sometimes pretty contentious relationship between a streamer and their audience.
Yeah, that kind of candor definitely makes for unforgettable streams. Okay, what about the new games? Did they bring their own set of frustrations beyond just audience numbers?
Oh, absolutely. A new indie game, Cast in Chill, it's a fishing game, brought unexpected tech problems right from the start. His main controller, the one he always uses, worked perfectly for the demo just days before, worked for other games, but in the full game, wouldn't cast the line.
No way, just wouldn't cast.
Nope, completely bizarre. Forced him to immediately switch to a different controller in Xbox Elite 2 just to play. Left him, in his words, totally baffled. He also noticed the fish seemed to be biting more slowly in the full game compared to the demo, which kind of changed the pacing he expected.
Ugh, tech issues. Especially live. That level of frustration must be huge. Did these hardware problems spill over into the competitive games where precision is everything?
They certainly did. His return to Capcom versus SNK2 on the PS5. Well, it was supposed to mean more comp, less lag than PC. But the reality, laggy connections and massive dropped inputs, just constant issues, made it incredibly difficult to consistently hit combos, learn new characters.
Even though he was winning.
Yeah, that's the kicker. He said he won a ridiculous amount of matches, even ranked up to platinum. But the experience was undermined. It highlights that critical tension, right? You can achieve success, but if the fundamental tech is fighting you, it just kills the enjoyment, the learning. And it really raises that question for you listening at home. How did those technical problems impact your enjoyment of competitive gaming? Does winning make up for a frustrating time?
Definitely something to think about. It sounds like it took a real toll, even with the wins. Okay, and the new Taxi Life Simulator. Was that smooth sailing once it actually started, or were there
Wow.
more driving challenges?
Oh, far from smooth. The premiere was apparently full of humorous, but yeah, undeniably frustrating driving mechanics. Complaints just poured in from him about issues with reverse gear, the quick look feature not working, crashing the car during the tutorial.
During the tutorial.
Yep.
Yeah.
Difficult parallel parking segments, tough U-turns, and navigating this simulated Barcelona traffic that he basically called assholes. Aggressive, uncooperative drivers. It seems the digital streets were just as challenging as any boss fight, turning what should have been a chill drive into this comedic struggle, really.
Okay, so beyond the daily grind, the wins, the tech woes, he also dove into some bigger discussions, reactions this week, tackling topics that ripple across the whole gaming world. This is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, one of the biggest things was a deep dive into that ongoing, often really passionate debate in the fighting game community, the FGC. You know the one, are modern fighting games too easy? The core argument really centers on how fighting games might have evolved, moving from relying heavily on physical execution like precise inputs, muscle memory, to being more about the mental game, knowledge, strategy.
Right, and this debate is super divisive. From his perspective, as someone you could call an urgee of the scene, what's his main argument? Why does he find modern titles too easy?
Well, his view comes straight from personal experience, grinding it out back in the day. He argued that old-school fighters demanded just immense grind and grind in arcades. It took serious time dedication, hard work, money investment just to get good. And crucially, this was all without instant access to optimal strategies online like you have today. He feels modern games have sort of shifted into an easy mode. Metas are easily learned in days, maybe a week, just watching YouTube. And this, he believes, has led to a lost feeling of accomplishment, maybe even lost fun for veteran players. They complain that everyone plays exactly the same because the games are just too easy to learn quickly.
And how does he see that affecting the tournament scene, especially for those long-time players?
He pointed to the massive growth in tournament size, like EVO going from maybe 500 players to 7,000. And while, yeah, that brings profitability the FGC always wanted, he argued, it now means veterans have to grind out against these fucking scrubs and nobodies as he put it, before they even get to the really competitive matches. He also drew a sharp line between true OGs, the players from the 90s, early 2000s, mastering games like Super Turbo, CVS2, Marvel 2, Third Strike, and the 09ers, the wave that came with Street Fighter 4. He reckons most real OGs are long gone from modern competitive play. Not because they can't hang skill-wise, but because the games just aren't fun to play for them. They find them boring, repetitive.
Okay, so if he doesn't think they're necessarily bad games, what's his final stance? What does he actually want from competitive play?
He was clear. Modern fighters aren't bad games, but they are very different from what I grew up knowing. And for him, personally, they're boring. He craves that challenge of footsie's zoning execution, not what he sees as the current combo, oh, I won already style. He even flat out admitted having more fun playing laggy CVS2 than I do playing non-laggy Street Fighter 6. Said he only plans to go back to SF6 for specific characters, like Sagat. Ultimately, he argued an art form has been lost for the sake of mass market profits, broader accessibility. It's a really candid, provocative viewpoint from someone who's seen the whole evolution. Highlights that tension between growth and keeping the old school core.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like it sparked some passionate discussion. Okay, switching gears. Then there was the Nintendo Direct, the big one. What stood out for you there, especially watching his reaction?
Right. He live reacted to what people were calling the Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct. And initially, he was totally blown away.
Yeah.
Just amazed by the unprecedented level of control, the environmental destruction shown in the new Donkey Kong Country Returns HD footage looked incredible. However, his huge questions for Nintendo started popping up pretty fast. Mainly, why wasn't this amazing-looking game a launch title for the rumored Switch 2? He contrasted it with past launches, pointing out how a 3-hour Mario Kart World was a launch title before. Felt like a missed opportunity. He also spotted some visible frame drops, even in the official Direct footage, which raised concerns, and found the new lore bits confusing, like Cranky Kong appearing with a younger Pauline. Didn't quite add up for him.
That does raise an interesting point for the audience, maybe. Do you think these big game reveals sometimes spoil too much plot or mechanics beforehand? Or are they just essential hype builders?
Good question.
So we've covered the highs, the lows, the big debates. What does this all add up to for the coming week? He's got a lot on his plate, navigating all this feedback and planning ahead.
He really does. And the week ahead looks packed. He's aiming to finish several games and launch a really highly anticipated new one. He fully expects to wrap up Lies of P Overture this week, finally bring that intense journey to a close. Onimusha 2 is also right near the end. Speculation is he might beat it as early as Sunday or maybe early next week. Just shows steady progress.
Okay, and what's the big new release? The one generating buzz, but also maybe some apprehension?
That would be Death Stranding 2, set to premiere at the end of the week. And yeah, he's openly expressed some pretty mixed feelings. On one hand, he's looking forward to an amazing story, mocap, character models, voice acting, emotional moments, great writing, all the Kojima hallmarks.
Yeah.
But he also bluntly stated he was not looking forward to delivering packages. Found that core gameplay loop in the first game boring as shit.
He doesn't mince words.
No, he doesn't. He even said he anticipates entire streams of fucking boredom, potentially. Which, presents a unique challenge for keeping the audience engaged during that playthrough. It'll be really interesting to see how he handles it, how he keeps viewers hooked, if the gameplay itself feels slow to him. Strategically, he decided to dedicate the entire premiere stream just to Death Stranding 2. His react to the Capcom event, the one with Resident Evil Requiem, will be covered on his podcast the day after instead.
That's a bold move, programming-wise. Leaning into potential slow pacing for the story's sake. What about other planned stuff? Ongoing series?
Well, the DSP tries it for the Takis menu is penciled in for early next week, probably Monday or Tuesday. But that's contingent on hitting the remaining support goals. Shows that direct link, community support equals specific content. American Truck Simulator should get that nice boost with the new DLCs from the Steam sale. Fresh routes, new trucks should liven things up. And from Minecraft, he said he's committed to exploring the North on his horse, might he say. But he did reiterate, continued audience support is absolutely crucial to keep it in the rotation. It's that constant negotiation between his interests and what the audience wants to see.
So despite the tech hiccups, the occasional grumble, his frankness about personal stuff, mentioning the white beard, managing gout by cutting out foods, his drive just stays incredibly strong, always adapting to new games, new content types.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating here, I think, is how those challenges, those complaints, the lag, the feeling that modern games aren't as fun, they often just highlight this deeper underlying passion he has for the experience itself. It really raises an important question for you, our listener. In your own pursuits, maybe it's a hobby, a sport, a creative thing you do. What's the grind that truly brings you satisfaction, that feeling of accomplishment? And how do you navigate changes in whatever field you're in, especially when those changes seem to compromise the very things you loved about it most?
Definitely something to mull over as you head into your own week. This has been The Deep Dive. Until next time, stay well informed and keep digging for those insights.